Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It's Thursday evening and this evening we are talking budgeting. I know, it's a horrible thing to have to think of. However, it is becoming more and more necessary in our everyday lives. And today my wee brain has been thinking a lot about budgeting. Basically because on the previous video when I had talked about going down to Glasgow to go and see about fruit and veg, I was then like, right, okay, so we could share it amongst friends and family. It might be worth our while, but then how much fuel is it going to cost to get down to Glasgow and back up? And for us to do that, that means we're going to have to bring more stuff up. So we're going to have to spend quite a lot. Do we have enough people that are going to go through that? So that was one part of it. And then I was like, right, if we're going down for fruit and veg obviously is not, it's not particularly the most expensive thing. So then I was like, right, okay, let's maybe start a bit closer to home. So there's a few places closer to home where I could get veg boxes. So that's sort of okay, but the cheapest veg box I could find was like £14. And from what they say they've got in them, that's not worth my while either. So I'm then looking at different things, and I looked at a couple of local butchers because obviously rural area, we've got farmers here, and I was like, okay, we'll go on their websites, we'll go and see what the cost is. And the cheapest one I could find is an actual farm shop. It's not just the farmer's place. It's an actual farm shop, and for 500 grams of beefsteak mince, it was £6 something, as opposed to £4 in Tesco. And there I was, and I was just like, oh, what else do they sell in the bakery? And of course, me, cake. What can I say? And they had 6 white morning rolls, Scottish morning rolls. They're a very specific kind of roll, trust me. They are not BAPs under any circumstances. They're a very specific type of roll, especially, and they go so well with Lorne sausage, which is the square sliced sausage that we have up here in Scotland. So they had 6 Scottish morning rolls baked by a local baker, and it was something like £3.45 for 6 rolls. And I was like, no, surely not. And because I don't buy them very often, because they literally are, they're morning rolls. They don't taste as good the second day. You need to get them the morning you want them. It's just a thing. So I don't buy them very often because I'd need to drive first thing in the morning to get them. So the only time really we have them is if we're at Patrick's and I can nip across the road and get them that morning. So, but I went on to Tesco's again, because I'm like, right, do you know, we'll not even go for Lidl's or whatever. We'll go to Tesco's because, apart from the fact, it's the easiest to look up. And 6 Scottish morning rolls, granted not a baker, but from Tesco, were 80p. It's like, yeah, that's why. And I think for some of us, that's where our budgeting gets thrown out the window, because the rural area that I live in is very much early retirees, people who work in Edinburgh and Glasgow with rather nice jobs, and they come back here, you know, at the weekends and in the evenings to their country house. You know, they live in the country, but they work in the city. And it makes it, and of course, it's also a tourist area. And the majority of shops, farm shops, anything like that here, is mainly geared for tourists or the older generation who have money. Or at least that's what I'm thinking, because £3.45 for 6 morning rolls is utterly ridiculous when they're 80p in Tesco's. Now, I know because Mandy lives in the town where my nearest shop is, which is a co-op, it's a local co-op, and seemingly at one point the local town was going to have like a smaller supermarket, and the high street shops went up in arms and like, no, this is, do you know, it's a selling point, this high street. However, the butchers, the greengrocers, they're double the price of the supermarkets. And I mean double for just about everything. I remember having one of the videos very early on when Diet Coke was £1.50 for 2 litres, and it's gone up to £1.77, and I was shocked. That was in Tesco. I then went into my local Co-op and it was £2.25 and nearly had heart failure. That's the kind of difference that we're seeing in the stores. And that's the kind of thing where we are now, Mandy and I, we just don't buy from the local shops now because our budgets will not manage with that. We actually, and we very seldom now get the online orders because you can't control the substitutions, you can't look for the offers, because just like many people, our shopping is now done by what's on special offer. We don't budget for what the online shop is now. We budget for the two of us will hike into Perth and we will go and we will see what's on offer, what's going to cost us the least, how our meals are going to be that week, on what we can afford to spend. And for quite a few people, I think that's going to be quite a big surprise. I mean, I know with the cost of living crisis and, we've donated to so many food banks, we've donated to so many charities, which we will be doing again at the end of the month when I receive the YouTube payment. We have done that. We know people are living hand to mouth. But I think that there's actually a lot of people who, like me, have a relatively decent wage, but it's not that good. And now we're starting to struggle as well. And that's a big difference. And that's a whole other demographic that is going to have problems with paying for things because their mortgages have gone up, energy prices have gone up, and whereas they could just, go to Sainsbury's, go to Waitrose, go to Tesco's, do an online order and just say, yes, I'll have that, that and that. Now we're not. Now we're going through. Now we're making sure we're there at the reduced items time. Now we're being careful about when we go. So, yeah, budgeting is now becoming a big thing. And as I say, when I was talking about going through to Glasgow, it's like, can I make that financially viable? Even if I bring everybody in, all my friends and family that would be interested, can I make that financially viable for the fuel costs and the amount I would have to buy to get, a bulk discount sort of thing? Would it be as cost effective if I just went to the local cash and carry and got like a sack of onions and a sack of potatoes, etc., and split it up? Is it going to be cost effective to start building a relationship with a local butcher? Or is £2 per 500 grams of beef mince too big a mountain to climb? In which case, mac and cheese is looking really good. I know someone said in the comments, you need to go a bit veggie. Yes. And yes, we are. I mean, Mandy is much more veggie than I am. I am just like, at the moment, while I can still afford to get some meat while it's reduced, I'm going to buy it and can it and, store it so that when it gets too expensive for me, I might still have some left. But yeah, budgeting is now becoming quite a big thing in my brain, which it wasn't when I started prepping. I could still afford to just, buy stuff, start stocking up. Now I'm looking at prices. And I think there's going to be a lot more like me who this time last year didn't have to worry and were quite happy to help with food banks, with local charities. There's going to be a lot of them are going to have to start looking to get help from these places now instead of being able to help them. So anything you can do in your local community, please do. We will be looking to do more as a charity. So yeah, please keep watching the ads, keep the comments coming, and thank you so much for watching and enabling us as a channel to help out. And if you can hear in the background, that's the cat meowing to get back in. So I will go and let Raven in. You have a good night. Thank you.